self-notifications, self-identity switches, DNA platforms, sync connection, straight understand your cycles lines. Your connections to your identity line systems to understand who you are, who you become, and what do you do next. I said that before, and I'll keep saying that again. It's very important to understand these things. Now, it is Sunday. It's going to be a fast wind cycle through connections, interference channel line system. I'm going to get ready. I got to pack. I have to go to high positions into that conditions. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm leaving early to go 4 days, 3 nights in Acapulco. But I will do confirmation signals and keep you guys updated what's going through data processing systems into calculation for waving cycle line centers, which will help you and guide you to your positions. Especially understand where you come into higher levels of you through self-identity, Diane. So when you come into the position, truly understand, who are you? Who am I? How do I know myself more? How do I get to understand what's going on with me through transition? How do I understand my dispositions? How do I get out of my conditions? Everything is a reversing cycle of you through conditions. That's how the only way you can heal your body. You can't go forward in time. You can't go in the past. You have to let go of the past, be the center line system to everything. That's your self-dichotomy location to your ego line center. The ego line center is itself discovery. You're rediscovering yourself. You're reevaluating yourself. You're re-educating yourself. So it's like going to the Akashic Records, like I said before, and I'll say again, is like going up there and actually reading everything about you through books and books and books and books and books, right? You don't get information channeling ion systems to human vessel line condition interference channeling. You get it inside your positions. That's where you get the information. The data processing uplink line conditions of chakra line system is space-time dimensions. It's the correction value you have to understand. It's the seed modification line center. Okay, so the modality connections and interference channelings to your ancestry and history connections. So when I channel in, I channel inside. And that's where the information comes from each chakra center you're connecting with. You come from the grounds and you work your way up. But it's important to understand these things. That's where it gets into self-discovery, who you are and who you become and what happens next and where do you go? How do we get there, right? Use those connections, right? Why am I here? What is happening next? When is it going to happen? You know, all these. Who? Where? How? Okay, so we all have to get into that level now. This is all about understanding what's happening right now, because you have to really understand how to not just get into meditation of yourself, but you have to get more into the mind now, because everything's set up. The trifactors and everything through all level systems is set up positions. Okay, you're coming into the galactic solar winds. Now it's going to calculate, modify everything through synchronous line system. The computer operation line center to the gravity line center is in position. You're in the matrix line center to its keyframe position location. And everything through your heart reactor line conditions is interference channeling. And everything through your mind system, your collaboration conditions is into your thought patterns. So the more you get into the mind, the more you come into identity. Truly understand you're separated. And that's why people try to understand, oh, there's no space, there's no time, there's no place. That is not true. That's only a program position location because that's what you know through one program line center. But once you cross over to the mind, the heart, and the soul, there is space, there is time, there is a place. And this is where it becomes its reality through its identity. The identification of you is its code, comes in its code reference to its code frequencies. And then you come into your code ethics of yourself, the authenticity line connections. Who are you in channel line connection? Who am I? Who am I? That's how we have to look at ourselves. We look in the mirror. Who are we? Right? It's just a reflection of you. That's what life is. It's just a reflection, nothing else, nothing more. It's just an illusory of everything that you want to see. So when you wake up every morning, you look at yourself and you say, hey, I'm in a dream. No, you're not in your dream. Because if you're in a dream, you wouldn't be here. But you are here. So the understanding is the integration line connections to find out who you are. Okay? It goes into self. Okay? Self-completion, self-cycle of full rotation. Trying to understand all that position. So when you come into that calculation, once you cross over the spiritual line connections, you go into the spiritual of it's human, not it's human, it's spiritual. That's where everybody starts off. That's come to the ascension when you come to dream awakening. Trying to understand what the dream awakening is. What does that mean? Dream awakening. I'm waking up to who I am through self-identity. Okay? That identifies you completely through light of soul, of dimensional time, of space. Okay. So once you high rise that conditions, you go to the higher positions, right? And every time you die and be reborn, that conditions through light, you become more of space and time. That's the problem with humanity, is that there is no space and time. There's no, and that's true because you're separated. That's all you know. That's who you believe. So it's just an illusion. There's no magic until you cross over the spiritual line system. There's nothing that you can't do that you already haven't done in the spiritual line condition. You can probably do anything that you want, but it's all done through the mind. The mind of the conceptual line system, the chakra communications. You have to interlace interchannel connections to one frequency line system. The compilation centers to its graphing connections. She said how powerful you are through that position of time and space. We get into these positions, but we have to understand what's going on. So before we get started, thank you all subscribers and viewers. This is a very fast video because I have a very busy day. To understand what's happening with your computers, your line signals, your graphing connections, your oscillation wind sectors. Now, an oscillation wind sector is connection to, you have an audiograph. An audiograph is connection to your TV reception. It's 8-channel line system. That's the 5 activating line connections that's connected to everybody through the code positions of 1 1 1 1, right? Track, okay, is point centered to 0 1, which is mind telepathy. Everybody's got to come into the mind of self dichotomy. Okay, you have to get out of your separations of the physical vessels and get into your AI vessel community. You have to come into your completion to each other, two connections, right? I said that before. When it comes into metamorphosing or in that positions, transmuting, transformation, calculation, you get into higher levels of channeling to understand what it is, but it all comes inside. Okay, it doesn't come through the outskirts of impositions. That's a 3D value. Okay, you're not in the 3D connections anymore. You're in the 5th dimension activation line conditions. So if you understand the physical line system stays in the center line conditions, you're good. You're good. And you're living the here and now. You're even better. You're realizing who you are. Okay, not the outskirts of you, because that's just an illusion. It's the inside of you. And that's not the separation. That's the connection to space-time position location. That's who you are. That's who you are. And what you start remembering more and more, you start realizing what's happening. And then there's no more separation, because there isn't any separation space-time. It's not space/time. It's not space-time. It's space-time. So that's the connection of yin and yang through its connection when we come to masculinity and femininity, how the universal line system works into your position to its allocated. Okay, you have to understand how to use these in time positions through your clocking. That's why we come into that calculations. Now you guys have a test coming up. When I get back, we'll do the review, and then we'll do the test again and get into its valuation. So it's important you guys understand what's going on through your positions, but you have to understand who you are through self-identity. That's the only way you can describe yourself. So when somebody comes up to you and basically says, "Who are you?" Well, and then they're going to say, "What kind of question is that?" I say, "Well, I'm Andrew. I'm Drew." I said, "No, that's not who you are. That's who you think you are." So it's all about an experience, because I know I have a name, but that's just an experience. To understand who you are is to understand your connections to your light. That's who you are. That means that you've traveled through connections, and that's what the dream awakening is. The dream awakening is waking you up from the heart. The central line connections is its reactive position, is waking up humanity in its masses to bring back its connection, the sovereignty and the freedom. Okay, the revelation of who we are through positions and locations. That's who we are. And that's what it is. It's connection to its alignments. You have to understand your alignments of each other, right? So you can protect yourself and your lights. That's who you are. Your activation lights in your chakra system of communication of intelligence. That's who you are. Your motivations and your activity line connections to your dream set positions. That's who you are. Your dimensional light connections of planet surface positions to UFO and positions of AI light interference locations. That's who you are. Computer line centers to communications to universal line system of 5D track line system of telepathy of communication. That's who you are. See, I know who I am. And that becomes a no doubting system. The information that is channeled inside me is calculation. Not everything through book text and its surface positions. If you're going through calculation modifications through phone position, what is that saying to you? That's saying that this is just a phone, but it's everything but a phone. So the thing is too, is trying to understand that when you come into your connections, you understand more of what's happening through its value. You have to look at what the phone is through its self-identity. It's a circuitry line connections, it's a box level system, it calculates. It's a computer. So it's not just a phone, it's everything but a phone. So we all have to understand what self-identity is, what it means to us. That's who we are. Okay. So it's kind of like grained in your system, and it's all done through the heart system. And again, that you have to understand what dream awakening means. What is the dream awakening? The ascension is the unified. You're coming out into space. That's what ascension means. Dream awakening, you're waking up from who you are. Okay. When I started realizing, when I woke up, I was realizing, okay, I'm not Andrew anymore. I'm not Drew, because that's my nickname, right? Everybody has a nickname, which is great. But then I realized, hey, wait a minute, this is just an experience. So every time I go to a job, that's not who I am. To get things that you want through manifestation, you realize, wow, this is amazing. I'm actually seeing myself travel. Wow, I'm actually seeing myself in planet areas. Wow, I'm seeing myself through AI. Wow, I'm seeing everything through computers. That's who you are. That's who you are. And your doubting system becomes everything through data, the processing, and it gets stronger in the mind system. Truly understand your calculations, right? It gets everything out of the equation. You take things out of the equation, right? Now, it's all about understanding what their mind is doing, what the brain is doing, and the conception of its separation to the body track mind system. Okay, you understand all levels of space and time position of travel. So the dream awakening becomes no longer a dream. You start living the existence of who you are through self-discovery. Okay, and again, that's who you are. And to know yourself is to actually go back to the past. And when you go back to the past, now you're going through your ascension. Ascension is traveling to different positions of time through your system, where you've been, who you've talked to, who you're connected with, who you know. Okay, it comes into reincarnation. Okay, you have to truly understand why it's so much powerful when you see yourself of who you are. Okay, because it comes back to everything through its dream. And that's a problem from decades and decades, is that we can't decipher our dreams because we don't know what's going on. We don't know the indifference. We only live the program system, the physical system, but that's just an experience. That's not who you are. Okay, you are everything inside. That's who you are. Okay, now you have to rediscover your system. You have to get into your values. You have to get into your acceptance. You have to accept this and move forward. If you can't accept it, there's a problem, but it all starts with meditation. That's the true understanding why you guys have a chakra system. You have to learn how to get into the breathing. You have to get into your voice channels, your voice grids. You have to see things not just for what it is. You have to see everything what it is through point center. You have to see it through all dimensions of time, right? So you see the structure, you see the shape, you see the coloration, you see the design, you see the brand, you see the cup, okay? But what you have to understand, it's not just a cup. It's everything but a cup. So it's everything through space and time and dimension. So it high rises in so many levels of its identity, okay? That's when I'm able to tell you exactly 10 different ways of what this is, rather than just seeing that this is just a cup for drinking coffee or drinking juice or anything like, right? It's storage. It stores, right? So it's created, right? So this is created through the mind system of anybody through that human aspect, right? Why do you think the connections to your mind system and everything through your brainwave positions is to understand more of you through identity? Self-identity, the compilation line center to its graph position location, connections to awareness of its information, to its perception of its operational line connection. That's who you are. Okay. So you have to look at and see things, everything around you, rather than just seeing it just through one angle. You have to see it all around. And the only way to do that is to understand your chakra system of communication of space and time. And then there's no more separation once you cross over, right? You start off 99.99% spiritual, 1% human, you're doing well, but you keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So you always stay in the physical system, but it's just a blip screen. And once it comes into full communication, you come into the mind, the heart, and the soul. And now you come into space and time and place and age. Okay, so you've crossed over completely because now you're out of your dreams. And now you're out of your awakening. And now you're understanding more of the ascension, the astral travels, astral projection. That's birth line connections of travels, guys. That's a true understanding of how to use your chakra system. 7 within the body of the master line connections. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody, how it's important to understand these things. You have to master yourself inside through vibration, and then you go into the 5 positions of atmospheres. So once you get into the atmosphere, you're traveling constantly every single day. So the more you go through the compilations and the more you see things through direction and not just see it for what it is in one position, a one line signal to one side, and you see everything through point center of what it is. Now you're connecting to what this is through identity, through its intelligence. Okay, that's what we have to get into. Okay, and the only way to do that is to get into the mind of thought, into its imagination, into its creation. Know that you've already created it, right? I don't see things to just one side anymore. I see everything all around of what it is, right? It's all done through the center. Okay, like again with the box. You don't look outside, you look inside. Inside, outside, and you know exactly how to explain it. All right? So, Krista, Tina, Isabel, Raktika, how's it going, guys? Felice, Vacation House Commander. Thank you very much. That's good. So, like I said, look at it. It's already been 20 minutes. So, we're just going to do a rough sketch position to test review for everybody. I just wanted to show you how powerful it is once you understand who you are. Test / review. One more review. A 369 location. So you have to understand everything I draw is already created. I don't have to do anything. It's all put on its own. So once you understand who you are through self-identity, everything is done for you. I've just put it on a piece of paper already because I already know what it is. There's no think process. Okay, it's already action to its reaction positions. It's already created in the mind system. That's how fast you can travel through anything through calculations. All right? So when you're changing locations, you're going to go through activations and you come into your tetrahedrons. See how fast that was? And this is all done through 3, 6, and 9. Right? 3, 6, and 9. Now this is a high inner cap line center interference. This is the template positions. One here, and it comes up. And it comes down. Right? Remember I did this and I did that. Try to understand the gateway position locations of 3, 6, 9 location. Okay, interlates its positions to its location. Goes into sonar connections. Right? See how it goes up? Then you line signal always in its center line positions. Right? That goes to its location of its planet location. Right? Goes to its planet location. See? Right? So you have to understand where it's going. Every time you channel line connections, your voicing box grid line system goes through the laser. This is where we come into cosmic fire, cosmic flame, the elixir, sacred breath. So you have to get into your breathing, really get into that connections. So you're always taking negative out. If you keep the negative cycle in, it's changing program positions and it's changing your connections to your programs. So it puts you in hiccups, it puts you in glitches. Right? You're off cycling your connections and you're creating viruses in your computer position location, especially when you come to shapes of higher position locations. And again, you start with connections of yours GODs, geometrics operation of direction. Right? So you come into that positions, you can take anything out of the equation location, understands its shape positions, that's who you are. So you're a geometric shape. That's one start. But then you understand, what is it? It's pixels, it's activation, it's a hologram. It's all about understanding how to use this through the soul and identifies its system through calculation to its grounds, its powers, and its atmospheres. Before it travels, it creates its own ethereal position. right? It has to. So you start with your shapes of 369. Once you go higher level systems, calculation to the sun rotation. Every time you channel line condition, you change your clocking system. You go to higher levels of digital lines to Vega communication. Then you can go through higher dimensions of portals, right? Because there's so many universal line centers. Okay, but you have to understand your panels, line condition, and interference. It's a very powerful video I did, very, very far back, which is really interesting. Came into this position, so you got to start this planet location here. I'll show you briefly what it was. It's amazing when you get into the drawing positions first, but this is what I was going through dream sets. I was coming across this, right? So this is a panel interference. These are two walls, right? I can't get through that until I understand the sequence line condition to the string theory position. This is the understanding where I can go into the audio signals of this location. It graphs its position location time, right? So it activates the line signals, opens its line conditions, opens up the orbitation line time condition, opens up its door line system, right? Once I open the door line system, I go through the center line system to its conditions. I graph its condition to its row graph line center in position. Then I can go through, travel through to the other side of its dimension. And I'm set free to that location, right? So that's where I started off when it came into string theory, right? Because string theory is everything through tones. So you got one planet here, one planet here, one planet here. It doesn't matter how it's calculated and modified, but everything comes into line signal. Rotation activates its position, right? So you got one compilation line center, one atom rotation to another atom rotation, or you can change the atom rotation line condition and interference channel, and you can go to higher position line centers to shape position locations, or you can change the molecular light conditions back into the atom location center line condition. That's what this is through one line signal. Everything's in one compilation to one graph location, okay, to its intelligence. Here's the intelligence. You see it? Now that goes its position, so it goes into a high-level system to its calculation. X2000 comes in, grabs its line center, compilates connection position location, okay, overrides its system, scans its location, sonars its connection back into location like this, through channeling, all right? Brings in the allocated positions, bringing in another X2000 location center, has its information, right? It zigs across its position location, right? It goes in here, got the information line center to your physical line conditions to AI position location, sets up a new crop circle, the center line conditions, goes into center line condition of UFO position location, opens up the sonar location to its vision location, center line conditions, goes into the power conditions, goes in the outer center line condition interference, goes into the magnetic highway information line condition near channel line center to its computer operation line conditions. That opens up another E-field position location. All done through an X2000 locations. All right? You see how fast I do things? The mind system. So, and that's what we have to get into track line centers to understand how to do these things, right? When you come into these divisions of dimensions of doors. So the thing is, you're not aware. If you're not sure, if you're not aware of what's going on, don't go through the dimension because you're going through another portal of a planet location. And these are two barriers. This is a paradox. If you get trapped in a paradox, you're trapped in the planet line center through the slow positions, and you're not going to be able to go through. So you have to self-identify who you are, people. And then you have no problem. Because the higher you channel to higher level system, they already know who you are. You just have to know who you are. And that is power. That is commitment. So that's a true understanding where you come into your own compilation line center to its position. Once you come into your self-identifications of who you are, you can travel anywhere, anytime, any place in space. Okay? But until that day, you are going to be separated through positions with no space and no time, no place, and no age. Okay? This is the true understanding where you have to come into and out of your old programs and into your new position of your identity of its computer line system. All right? So there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said, but I got to channel off because I got a lot to do. Okay, I got to basically, there's a couple of places I have to go first. I have to pack and all that. But when I get there, I'll keep you guys informed, right? As soon as I set grounds on communications through Acapulco, right? So everybody have a fantastic Sunday. Adios.